Let's look at quadratic equations. Quadratic equations are anything that can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. And I want to start by looking at two different ways to solve these, by factoring and using square roots. I'm going to start with factoring. And in order to solve these equations by factoring, we need to have a particular property known as the zero product property. The zero product property states that if a times b is equal to 0, then either a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0. One of those two. If we know that they multiply to be 0, one of them had to be 0 to start with. Let's look at x squared minus 11x plus 24 equal to 0. Our first step is actually writing this as a product. In other words, factoring. I need numbers that multiply to be 24 and add to be negative 11. I have negative 1 times negative 24, negative 2 times negative 12, negative 3 times negative 8, and negative 4 times negative 6. If I add these, I get negative 25, negative 14, negative 11, and negative 10. So I can see the one that I want. I can rewrite this problem as x minus 3 times x minus 8 is equal to 0. So now I have it as a product equal to 0. That means one of the pieces has to be 0. Either x minus 3 or x minus 8 is equal to 0. For the first one, I can add 3 to both sides and get x equal to 3. And for the second one, I can add 8 to both sides and get x equal to 8. So I have two solutions for this problem. Either x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 8. Next, let's look at x squared equal to negative 8x minus 7. In order to use the zero product property, I do need to make sure everything is on one side of the equation. So I will add 8x and add 7 to both sides to make this x squared plus 8x plus 7 equal to 0. The only numbers that multiply to be 7 are 1 times 7. And we can see that's going to work out since 1 times 7 is 7 and 1 plus 7 is 8. So now I have a product equal to 0. So I'm going to set each piece equal to 0. X plus 1 equal to 0 and x plus 7 equal to 0. Subtract 1 from both sides and I have x is equal to minus 1. Subtract 7 from both sides and I have x is equal to minus 7. So my two possible solutions here are x equal to negative 1 and x equal to negative 7. Next, let's look at 2x squared plus 11x minus 63 equal to 0. I'm going to start by multiplying a times c, so 2 times negative 63. And that's going to give me negative 126. So I need things that multiply to be negative 126 and add to be 11. We have negative 1 in 126, as well as 1 in negative 126. Negative 2 in 63, or 2 in negative 63. Negative 3 in 42, or 3 in negative 42. Negative 6 in 21, or 6 in minus 21. Negative 7 in 18, or 7 in negative 18. And finally, negative 9 in 14, or 9 in negative 14. So I add these, this is positive 125. and then negative 125. This is 61 and minus 61, 39 and minus 39, 15 and minus 15, 11 and minus 11, and I'll go ahead and stop since I do have the piece I need. I need it to be 11. So I'm going to rewrite this problem as 2x squared minus 7x plus 18x minus 63 is equal to 0. My first two pieces have an x in common. I'm left with 2x minus 7. My next two pieces have a 9 in common, and I'm left with 2x minus 7. Finally, each of these has a 2x minus 7, and I'm left with x plus 9. So now we have 2x minus 7 times x plus 9 is equal to 0. That tells me I have the equation 2x minus 7 equal to 0, as well as x plus 9 equal to 0. I can add 7 to both sides to get 2x equal to 7, divide both sides by 2 to get x is equal to 7 over 2. On my second equation, I can subtract 9 from both sides and get x is equal to negative 9. So my two solutions, x equal to 7 over 2 and x equal to negative 9. The next way I'm going to look at solving quadratics is using what's known as the square root property. The square root property says that if u squared is equal to d, then u is equal to plus or minus the square root of d. If I have the square of something is equal to a number, I can take the square root of both sides, but I have to remember to take plus and minus. Let's look at some examples. I'm going to start with a very basic example. X squared is equal to 9. The square root property says that this is x equal to plus or minus the square root of 9, or x is equal to plus or minus 3. So I have three solutions to this problem. So I have two solutions to this problem, x equal to 3 and x equal to minus 3. Next, let's look at 3x squared minus 21 equal to 0. In order to use the square root property, I need the square of something is equal to a number. So I'm going to start by adding 21 to both sides. That'll get me 3x squared equal to 21. Dividing both sides by 3 gives me x squared is equal to 7. So now I have something squared equal to a number. I can take the square root, and I get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 7. So my two solutions are square root of 7 and negative square root of 7. Next, let's look at x minus 3 squared equal to 16. On the left, I do have something squared, so I can go ahead and take the square root and get x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 16. Or x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus 4. I can then add 3 to both sides and get x is equal to 3 plus or minus 4. So this tells me I have two solutions. 3 plus 4, or 7, as well as 3 minus 4, or negative 1. So my two solutions to this equation are x equal to 7 and x equal to negative 1.